It's too dark in here. We're going to find another place. I see it's Peruta and Albert. Yeah, blow out the candle and turn it and shut the door. So it's kind of raining. We have to find somewhere that's not as wet as that. And then I forgot the microphone, so Karl is getting the cord. And then we figure out where to sit. Annabelle's here. Hello. Who are you?
I'm a crazy English lady.
Yes, but you're a Freeman.
I'm a Freeman.
Where are you from? You can tell them where you're from.
Well, I'm from the south of England, so the port areas, Southampton.
Or Bergen?
Well, I'm from both as well.
There too, yeah, you're from both.
I'm from both.
I don't have a light for your house. It's too dark. Kristin is here too, and Karl's getting the microphone cord, so if I'm yelling, we'll fix that. Say hello. You look really nice today.
Thank you.
What'd you do?
Took a shower.
You know what? I did too.
But do you want to sit outside here?
We could sit outside, yeah, as long as the computer's out of the rain. I don't mind getting a little wet. Karl is bringing a phone. No, it's just the keyboard doesn't get wet. Okay.
I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah. So a little disorganized today because I wasn't watching the clock. Well, I was, but it went faster than I thought.
You can sit on that.
Yeah?
You don't get your bum wet.
I like my wet butt. Hello. Hey, Runa Tobias, and Albert is here, and Ashley, and Elizabeth, I mean. I just have to do a pop-out chat. I see I'm only getting part of the chat. Okay, one of these days I'm going to be organized and ready to go, but the important thing is I turned on the sending at 6 o'clock.
You are right. You never get organized.
No, but I make everyone else look good because I'll never be organized. There it says. Oh, no, it was Lear that wrote in there earlier, good morning and see you in an hour. So she just logged in. Hi, Lisa. Heidi is here. Runa is in the workshop making toys, so we won't see him. Did you find a cord? I have one for you then. Let's see if this switches over. I have Karl here too.
I'm gonna die.
Kristin's gonna die. Okay, and then we go to... I like that I have to dig in my boobs to find things. We will go to here. What is everybody doing today? While I try to figure out my sound issues. Yeah. No, it should be. And restore chat. Pop out chat. I think I got it back. Runa Tobias is here. Karl, say hello.
Hello.
And Greg is supposed to be on his way out, but we're massively organized today. Nalbinding socks and drinking beer. Oh, I like what Jenny's doing. Jenny Erickson. Her stuff on Instagram. Can you hear through the microphone now? Say
if you can hear it through the microphone.
If they can hear us through the microphone. Can you hear Kristin? Heidi says hi, Karl. Jenny says hi, Karl. I think they've missed you. Oh, they can hear us. Good. Then it's on these, so we can. It's easier to share, and then hopefully I don't scream. My God, I thought it was going to be cold because of the rain, and it's like super hot.
Are both of these on, or is it just yours?
Can you hear Karl through his? Yep, they hear us fine. So I will take a photo and send it when I figure out where in the heck we're going to park. We were going to park outside Kristin's house today. Let's see. I will show you a little better. Da-da-da-da. This house. But it's a little wet. So sort of had a change of plans, but I'll send a photo of it. Karl, you were going to talk about Hardrada. Hardrada, what is that? Hardrada? Is that like a Norwegian name, or is there an actual... I'm so smart. I feel really smart.
Well, he is considered by the English to be the last Viking, king of Norway in
playing with fiber.
until the year 1066.
Yeah?
His name has a meaning, but people are not entirely sure what that meaning is, because Hardrada might mean two different things in Norwegian or Old Norse.
Yeah.
Råde is to rule, and it's also to advise. So he might be Harald the rough ruler, Harald
Like this.
nasty guy you don't want as king,
Yeah.
or Harald who is hard to advise.
I want to be Harald, who's hard to advise.
Well, both of these are apt for the guy, so both of them might be true.
Yeah.
So it might even be a double meaning that both of these interpretations are met. He must have been born in or around the year 1015.
Yeah.
Because he is wounded in the Battle of Stiklestad when Olav Haraldsson, Saint Olav of the Catholic Church, is killed. And then he is about 15 years old. Olav Haraldsson is his uncle, and he is...
Put this here. Actually, we got big waterfalls behind us. I'm sorry, dude. We can do that and put Karl right there. Or here.
You can even sit on that side.
That would be too easy, Kristin. No, it's okay. We got waterfalls behind though, but it's otherwise we're way too close to the computer. Okay, come here. Continue, Karl.
Yeah, no, this is exactly how I like to tell stories.
Poor Karl.
So,
Poor Karl.
when I go through this story, he is a lot of different things. But I kind of disagree with the English about him being the last Viking. Because strictly speaking, he is never a Viking. He starts out when he is 15 years old and fighting for his uncle at Stiklestad as being a warrior, maybe a herdman. Probably a little bit too young for that, but at least he is a warrior. Then he gets wounded, and being the nephew of a dead king who has just lost the battle is not a good way to advance your career in the Viking Age. So he has to run away. So now he has been a warrior and a refugee. He flees to Gardarrike, what is today Russia. And he hangs around at court there with, don't know if they are family or friends, but they are at least on friendly terms. And there he again works as a warrior, but now he's more of a mercenary because he has no stake in this particular career. And he makes quite a name for himself, and he becomes pretty rich and famous. Then he moves on to the big one, the dream of every mercenary in this time, to be in the Varangian Guard and fight for the Byzantine emperors. At this time, the Byzantines and Normans, the descendants of Rollo, are fighting over, among other things, Sicily in the Mediterranean. So he is sent there, and this story is in Snorri. It's a little bit too unlikely to be completely true, but it's too good not to tell.
Tell it.
There are 3 cities he is told to take by the Byzantines, or as Snorri calls them, the Greek emperors. It's not wrong, they speak Greek, but they are the Byzantine emperors. The first one is very well defended, but it's on an open plain. So he gives instructions to his men that these people will try to insult you, but you don't speak any languages they speak. Do not engage with them. Just smile and wave. So he builds his camp right next to the road, but he doesn't really besiege the city. He lets people go in and out as they please. And in the beginning, this is a really scary affair. People sneak past the Vikings and then basically run through the gates. But since the Vikings don't seem to care, they become more and more relaxed about gate safety. And he has this ball game that the Vikings keep playing. Probably something kind of like Not Like It. And I keep playing this closer and closer and closer to the gate, but without being aggressive in any way.
We have rain.
And when he thinks they are close enough, he instructs them that, okay, today everybody who is playing has weapons under their cloaks. And when I give the signal, you rush gate and you hold it open until I can come after with the rest of the army.
Do you want something to try?
Because they obviously cannot wear armor for this, a lot of them die, but they manage to hold the gate for long enough for Harald to take the rest of the army through and take the city. The next city is supposed to take is not well defended, but it's on a hilltop, so it has very good natural defense. But most of the city is built out of wood, and he notices this pretty quickly. So instead of doing an ordinary siege, he orders, and here the story starts getting weird. He orders all of his men to run around and catch birds. So they do. They catch a lot of birds. And every bird, this has to be extremely tedious, but he attaches a little bit of birch bark and covers it with tar and basically glues it to the back of the bird. Then they put fire to all the birds and let them go. Some of these birds are swallows that live under the awnings of the houses in the village he is trying to take. And obviously when they catch fire, they panic and fly home. So the entire city basically burns to the ground, and it's basically not worth the bother of storming it. And the last one is basically a combination of the two earlier ones. This one is on a hill, and it also has very good fortifications. So here he tries on a traditional siege. He tries to besiege it until they don't have food anymore and they have to give up. This is a very dangerous thing to do in the medieval times, not because it's particularly militarily dangerous, but because you're living in the same place with very bad sanitation for a long time. So both for the people in the city and the people besieging the city, diseases is a very serious problem. And obviously a disease breaks out in his siege camp, and a lot of people, including himself, get really, really sick. And the rumors start spreading that he is dead. And this is normally basically the end of the road for a military campaign. If there even is rumors that the leader is dead, then the entire thing breaks down. As you might know, in the Battle of Hastings, William the Conqueror falls off his horse, and it starts going rumors in his army that he is dead. And the only way he sees to solve this problem is to ride around the battlefield with his helmet in his hand, and so everybody can see him and yelling that he is still alive. Mm-hmm. Harald doesn't do that. He does exactly the opposite of that. He says, "That's fine. Let everybody believe I'm dead. That's wonderful. I want to be dead. Let's say I'm dead."
You're dead.
So the people in the city draws a sigh of relief, and his army is really disgruntled, but there is no reason to continue fighting now that he is dead. So he sends some people into the city to negotiate if it's okay, maybe that he can be buried there. And I think that's a wonderful idea, because having the grave of a famous person in your city draws tourists and pilgrims. So they want him buried, and almost all of his people thinks that he is actually dead, and all of the Normans or whatever they are thinks he is dead. So it's kind of surprising when his casket just opens up in the middle of the funeral procession, and he jumps down from it and enthusiastically starts murdering people on both sides of the road. So his people were pretty depressed at the beginning of the day. They're going into the funeral of their very popular leader. But when he wakes up again and starts murdering the locals, then yeah, okay, that's what we're doing today. So
sounds like another day in Viking Valley.
The city falls. And these stories and several other stories like it makes him extremely famous in Byzantine circles. But at some point, and this is extremely unclear, and I really don't believe the story the way Snorri tells it, because the way Snorri tells it, another mercenary gets jealous of and gets him thrown in jail. Then a woman who has once been healed by Olav his uncle, Saint Olav the Holy, comes to this jail and tells him prophecies and basically breaks him out of jail. And then he blinds the Byzantine emperor and runs off. That is probably not entirely true. For no other reason than the Byzantines would probably have remembered if a crazy mercenary had blinded their emperor. But there are written sources in the Byzantine Empire that indicates that he at least worked for them. It says that Haraldus, who ran away, has now become king of his own people, and we are on friendly terms with them. He does run away. There is an interesting story here on the Golden Horn in Constantinople. This is a little inlet into the actual harbor of Constantinople on the Bosporus. And the Byzantines used chains to close it off when they were under siege, or when they were afraid of people they don't want to sailing into their harbor. So when he runs away, he fills his ships with people and says, okay, now everybody row like you have never rowed before. So the ship comes up to good speed, and when he comes up to the chain, he orders everybody to run to the back of the boat. So the boat goes whip up onto the chain, everybody run to the front of the boat, whip, and we're over. The Byzantines are not smart enough to, the Byzantines following him are not smart enough to pull this procedure off, so they just run into the chain and stops. He comes back to Norway, and now Magnus the Good is king of Norway. He is the half-brother of Saint Olav, so he has more of a claim to the throne than Hardrada does. But Hardrada gives him basically he makes a deal with him. How about both of us are king of Norway? If we are at the same place at the same time, you are my king. But if we are at different places, both of us act as king of Norway. So Norway is for a while jointly run by a guy who is called the Good and a guy who is called Hardrada, rough ruler. So this must have been incredibly annoying for the locals. One day you have one guy coming over and say, hey, can you feed me and my man? Oh, that's nice. No, there is no taxes for you. Everything is nice. And the next day Hardrada comes along and says, okay, I want all of your sheep. Those guys looks like they can fight. They follow me. And by the way, you haven't been paying taxes for like 3 years. This works out for a while. Then Magnus the Good dies. Mysteriously. And Harald becomes king of Norway. And now things are happening in England. And this is extremely complicated. But basically what seems to be happening is Edward the Confessor dies, and he has made a serious mess about who is going to inherit him. At some point, a guy called Harald Gudvangen, there is a lot of Haralds in this story, by the way, has been with William the Conqueror who is not William the Conqueror yet, he's William the Bastard, and promised him that when Edward dies, he is going to support William's claim to become king. He doesn't do that when Edward dies. He supports his own claim to become king. So William the Conqueror considers him an oathbreaker. And this Harald guy has a brother called Tustin. And Tustin has the most unique kind of logic I've ever seen in anybody trying to become king. Because the way he sees it, my older brother can't be king because he's an oathbreaker. So I should be king. And the only way I see I can do that is if I go to Norway and get the psychotic Vikings to come and help me. So he goes to Norway, he talks to Harald Hardrada, and Harald Hardrada basically, I'm trying to read the mind of a man who's been dead for close to 1,000 years, but I think what he is thinking is something along the lines of, I have a British idiot with ambitions of being king. I can have a tame Englishman as king of England. That sounds like fun, and I haven't done anything in this scale for quite a time, so let's do that. And by the way, he's been burning Denmark for the last 5 or 6 years. So he takes with him Tusting and goes to England. They come along, they land somewhere in Northumbria. They fight 2 battles with the locals because the locals do not follow the orders of the king to wait for him. They just attack the Vikings as soon as they see them. And since this is the Northumbrian army, the Vikings think they have basically beaten the English. Which is, Harald Gudvangen, as soon as he hears about this, he leaves London and travels up to Northumbria as fast as he can. In some of the stories, he doesn't have time to collect his archers because they live in the rural parts of the land. He only gets his melee fighters. So it's not much archery in this battle. But we can ask Harald Hardrada a little bit later, and he will probably point out that it was more than enough because it's an archer that actually kills him. This battle is in September, but it's so warm in the weather that the Vikings specifically do not put on their armor. They are probably expecting the English just to have a show of force and then pay them to go away as they usually do. But they don't do that this time, they attack. And there is a story here of a Viking herdman. They keep calling him a berserker, but I don't think he was. With a 2-handed axe holding a bridge for a long time until it dawns on the English that, hey, why are we attacking him? He is better than us. Have somebody go under the bridge and just stab through it. So he dies in a very unpleasant way. Harald Hardrada gets an arrow in the throat, and as usual, when the leader dies, and this time he dies for real, it's no longer fakery, everything breaks. I don't remember the exact numbers, but the fleet that his invasion fleet is enormously large. It's something like, and I don't remember the numbers, so it's not these numbers, but something like it. Out of 300 ships, 20 return home. So quite a loss of life. But this also blunts the Anglo-Saxons quite effectively. And at the same time, you have William attacking in the south. So he runs back again, and again he doesn't have time to collect his archers. And when he meets William has the papal banner. He has gotten the Pope to excommunicate Harald Gudvangen for being an outbreaker. So he is flying the banner of the Pope, and at least one theory goes that Harald Gudvangen thinks that he is actually fighting against the will of God. And that's why he fights fairly brilliantly when he is fighting the Norwegians, but he just goes to the top of a hill and stays there when he is fighting the Normans. And yeah, that doesn't work, and he gets either hit in the eye by an arrow, or he gets killed by 5 knights who, independently of each other, all 5 kill him. One plants his spear through him, so he's standing upright with the spear basically holding him into place. The next one decapitates him, the next one disembowels him, and so on and so forth. If that is the way it happened, I absolutely understand the English running away from this. But the Bayeux tapestry is kind of unclear on exactly what happened there.
Oh, I love the Bayeux tapestry.
But this is the English definition of the end of the Viking Age, because it's a great story with the beginning and an end. It begins with the Vikings attacking Lindisfarne in 793, and it ends with Harald Hardrada dying at Stamford Bridge in 1066. But as I say, Hardrada wasn't a Viking. He was a Christian king trying to steal the kingdom of another Christian king. And if that's Viking, then Napoleon Bonaparte is also a Viking. So he's an interesting character, and he lived in the Viking Age. But he never plunders things without either being a king and they are allowed, or working on behalf of a king, which is also allowed.
You had some questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see. I'll get the ones that Pruda collected first. Let's go say, can you ask Karl if he likes the site I linked him on Facebook, the one about the shoe map? Did you get to see that one? That's Albert.
Yeah, I just barely looked at it. That sort of thing is always very good resources to have at hand.
Yeah.
It's just shoes, right?
Is it just shoes? Yeah, we'll have to see. I have to look over here at the chat, which is a little further away. And then there was Jenny Erickson said same did the Russians with the dogs, but they trained with Russian tanks, so went under their tanks. They went under their tanks.
Yes.
Oh, you're speaking Karl's language now.
This is World War II. The Russians tried to train dogs to go under German tanks and blow them up. So obviously the dog also dies from this. But you have a little antenna sticking up from the back of the dog, and then a lot of explosives. And the idea is that if you train them to run under tanks, they will run under the German tanks and blow them up.
Nah.
The problem is that they were trained with Russian tanks, and when they panic on the battlefield, they go and blow up the Russian ones instead. But
I'll say hi to people here. First, we got Rune Tobias, the dude from Civ 6. I like that. Björnarda is here as well. He says hello. He and Kaya are in Tregdal and online watching. And Maria Lynn Hale made it. Yay! Early this time, too. Last time she came in just enough for us to say goodbye. That was fun. Playing with my fiber. Welcome back. So, she says slow lean from stage right. Slow lean in. Let's see. Adrian is here as well as Albert. They're going to come work here this summer. Can't wait. Maria's leaving us again already, so I'm so glad I got a chance to say hello. This was a while ago in the chat, by the way. Your story is very compelling. I got to tell you, I picked the right guy to tell me goodnight stories, didn't I? Oh, yeah. Let's see. That was the question for you. We got that one. Andrea's here. Good morning from cloudy, foggy, and sometimes rainy Duluth. Scary movie start. Did you know that Georg Chieftain was asking if we watched the Ragnarok series, by the way? We have to do that one these days. It's a Norwegian series. No, I didn't know it was a series. I thought we just kept thinking of the movie that came out a while, a good time ago. The stitch I'm using is, you're going to like this. I will put this up a little higher now that the rain has settled down for a minute.
Well, don't say that. Now it's going to rain.
Well, as long as it, I did, but at least it's not raining in the keyboard, and then we're good. Okay. So obviously, I wrote that I was going to work on Greg's socks.
They've shrunk.
Okay, so do you remember these? I think they'll fit you just fine, Greg. Either that or do I hear the pitter-patter of little feet in your future?
No, you do not.
This will be perfect for Greg in the next generation.
No, but I haven't. The reason I never sold these is because I need to use them as a copy to make more. So I'm trying to make more.
I'm trying to work out how would Greg the next generation happen when it's just me.
Well,
collision theory.
Annabelle just got here. We could make plans.
I think she's marrying us.
I just shocked about it. I am marrying everyone.
Yeah, I remember.
No, so I'm making booties for this store. So in case those two ever do actually take the hint, no. I'm just
I think that would maybe fit 3 toes.
That might, maybe your big finger.
I think even my big finger is.
Was there no other questions, or did you just get distracted?
I just got because she wanted to know what stitch I was making. It's I think it was Julie Miners that wrote that up to check. Yeah, Julie Miners.
So you've now got
it's
very
Oslo,
tiny feet.
but I don't like the way this is going this way, so I might take it back a couple of rows and do it. It's the same as my slipper pattern on Instagram. It's just that it's a small virgin.
Okay, you've gone down the innuendo rabbit hole very quickly this time.
This is why I have to send from my own YouTube channel and not from Viking Valley.
Yeah, makes sense.
Not version.
I like your top, Greg.
Thank you. It's not quite finished.
Look how finished that top is.
Is this to do with the...
No, I started this last year, so I should be done by now. It's right up there with the blacksmith sweater and Greg's socks.
They're not great. This still got very tiny feet.
No, but to be honest, I said I could embroider that for him because I did actually. Adrian's here, and I embroidered something for him, and it went quite quickly. Thinking same thing, no problem. He gives me sewing thread size thickness of silk.
I did give you other silk as well.
Yeah, but it's like really, really, really thin, so that's why it's taken a while. But it's quite cool if you get a better look of it, though. I don't know. Da-da-da-da. So let's see what other ones are in there before Karl gets impatient. But Julie Miners is coming. She's booked. She's coming to the village. She's going to be staying in this house.
Who's Julie Miners?
This house, Julie, you're staying in. Julie
That's
Miners
lovely
is
for
a
you.
new free myth.
Ew.
Yes. Annabelle's holding the fort down. This is the house you're going to stay in. And that will be your view.
When is she coming?
I have to look up the calendar. So I don't have it off the top of my head, but not too long. Anyway, she's coming this summer. So let's see. I got another question from Pruda in here. Do you make bigger versions too? Oh, I could tell you stories. I'm probably the only person that I know how to make virgins.
Okay, I will see you later.
No, you're staying. By the way, there's a really cool light on that waterfall back there. I don't know if you can see it.
Greg.
It's quite awesome. Nope, Greg, you got to come back because we've got more. He's got a story to tell too. We're just going to catch up on chat here. Yeah, and then I said, oh, Nell's here as well. She's going to make another round start, hopefully without the jellyfish. Oh, come on. The jellyfish Nalbinding is cool. Heidi says, thank you for the story, by the way. Heidi leased it.
Are you dying again, Chris?
Adrian says, it's funny. They trained the dogs in a Pavlovian way. They would put meat under the Soviet tanks.
You died so many times.
Adrian says, it's funny. They trained the dogs in a Pavlovian way. They would put meat under the Soviet tanks.
Yeah.
And he says, I see monks in the background. Yeah, you cannot hide.
We normally
Do I look like a monk?
Yep.
Yes.
And now that Kristin's here, what do we do with monks, Kristin?
We kill them.
Yeah! Burn the monks! I should share the microphone, by the way.
Come back.
She's not kidding. She's making a fire and everything. Here, Kristin, you can tell them what you're doing for a minute.
And no, she's not burning the monk.
Yeah, but you gotta hold the mic. I get it. Oh, that's okay. I'm sure that probably felt really good in their ears.
Yeah.
There.
I am preparing some fabric for dyeing tomorrow. So I have some wool muslin that's going to be red.
I'll be aquí open now.
Oh, matter.
She's taking photos back there, but we're not open yet.
So yeah, that's what I do. I'm trying to get a fire going in the rain.
Not a problem.
Jinx it.
She's gonna make. You're coloring red, yeah?
Yeah.
I did take some pretty. We can. If you move your ass, we can take a picture of your pot. There. She's got matter in the pot there, isn't it?
And I get fabric.
And fabric's over there.
It doesn't really matter. Sorry.
But she's the one who
Really
did the
bad.
really cool blue. You will have to show that later. So if you have any dye questions, we'll save those for her because she likes to dye.
I'm not a dad. Dad joke.
Let's see. Silent Farm, great storytelling, and love the movie Ragnarok when his daughter yells, Finnmark! Ah! Oh, that's funny.
Cool blue, cool blue.
There's
cool
the blue. Oh, it doesn't even look nearly as good as it does on the camera here. The camera. There you go. Now you can see how pretty blue. She did that. Good job. I don't want it, but luckily that's too thin for me.
She used
But that would be
almost-
perfect for tablet weaving.
I got tons.
She
I got
used
thick ones as well.
almost precisely the way they did it in the Viking Age.
Yeah, the
Almost.
only thing is she didn't get a drunk guy to pee in the pot.
Yes,
That's the one. She cheated. She got drunk pee in the bottle.
No,
because you told me. You told me. That's how I know.
this one, it's hand spun.
Oh, yeah, this one. Jeez, you got to keep holding him up so like there because the light there, you can see it now. This one's my thickness.
And it's hand spun as well.
Yes, it is. Back, you foul temptress. I want it all. I got so much wool.
want the blues.
Carl, do I have any wool at home?
You might have some.
It's coming out of the woodwork at my house. I'm not kidding. Literally out of the woodwork.
What is?
Wool. Any place I can stuff it. There's.
I can only see the yarn that you are proud of because the rest you're hidden in the attic.
Yep.
But what you are proud of is enough to. I think you can knit the battle cruiser if you want to.
Oh, I could probably yarn bomb a cruise ship.
Does it compete with the collection in my barn?
No. Neither in volume nor in price.
Oh, I'm loving the chat, by the way. You got to read the chat back later, Greg, by the way. And Yenny says, burn the monk, but after storytelling, of course, Kristin.
Oh no, do I really have to wait?
You have to wait.
Oh, come on.
Is it Dyer's Matter almost as good as Potty Blue?
No.
Nope.
I'm just gonna stand behind you, Carl.
I'm taking photos of it though. Albert has woad seeds. You need to bring them.
Well, she's got a huge stick.
Oh, by the way, and
Oh,
Albert
oh,
and
sorry.
Adrian, here she does.
Yeah, sorry.
You're staying in that house right there, so you'll be neighbors when they come. They get
Where are they from?
they're Norwegian. You've met them.
What? Okay.
Albert Druid and Adrian Olset.
Is that the Albert that's usually here?
No, not that Albert. That's a different Albert.
It's not Tall
Oh.
Albert. Tall Albert's in the military.
Okay, now, so I got a little bit. So we have a fight
As in
here.
Albert, as in friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
For one, I need suggestions as to what to get Carl. Come here. We bring Carl back. What do we make Carl talk
Oh,
about
right.
next week? You have to put your suggestions in there because right now he's a nicotine addict and probably wants to go. Or do you want to stay around?
You're not wrong.
Cigarette, 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 cigarette.
Okay, so we'll say bye, Carl, and we will gather you some stories for next week. And thank you for keeping me entertained.
No, as long as I have a heads up, so I can.
Yeah.
Hardrada was an easy one, but if you have somebody more complicated, I might have to look it
Me.
up a little bit.
Me.
Yeah?
You have stories about me? No, by
Oh,
the way,
yes,
don't do that.
No, stories about Kristin. When she lived in the asylum.
I think we need stories about Karl and some of his exploits.
You might have Adrian.
What you want.
Or say Albert, I mean, it's Annabelle. You might have met Annabelle. He's one of Stig's students.
You know, I haven't
Yes.
for a long
Yes.
time hidden
Then you probably
Karl's
have.
cigarettes.
Okay, so now we're at minute 36 here, and you have 2 stories to tell.
I do.
So we can make you either tell, you have to tell something about the earthquake, why in Norse mythology's version of why there's earthquakes,
Mm-hmm.
and how Frey and Freya became Aesir Gods.
Yep.
Can you do this in 20 minutes, and then we give Kristin 5 minutes to talk, if she wants?
I will try and do it in 20
All right.
minutes.
Tickers on. It's not like we have a time running out, but
Uh,
okay. And by the way, if you want to see more of Karl, we have a tour on Heygo. It's in the link is in the description. You can find a tour. It starts at 9 o'clock, which is in about 2.5 hours.
That's late.
Well, it's not late in the West Coast.
I know,
It's
well.
only late here.
okay.
Anyway, but welcome
I
to the
think
land
that-
of the midnight
I
sun.
think Karl's got a interesting task.
Oh yes, Bernardo. Okay.
Yes.
So anyway, you can look at the link and you can book that tour. It's tips based, so free to join. And then if you like him, you can just throw money at him. Go ahead, tell your story now.
So
Craig.
I'm going to do the stories in chronological order simply because that makes sense. So I'm going to start off with telling the story of how Frey and Freya became part of the main family of gods. Now, bearing in mind that while they are, and Njord for that matter, and bearing in mind, yes, they are still counted among the Vanir gods, the other family, not Odin's family of gods, but they also come and live with the Aesir, Odin's family of gods. And so this actually starts almost right at the beginning. So I say almost, it starts certainly right after the world itself has been created at least. And so I told that story, I believe I told that last week, so I'm not going to go into too much details about that again. But after the killing of Ymir and most of the frost giants, no, that's not going to fit me, Karen. It's just not. Sorry.
An
Um,
ear warmer. Sorry.
And so basic.
That works. Okay, continue.
I don't have Dumbo ears.
Yeah, but I got 2 of these.
Sorry.
There's 2.
So what, you're going to make a rubber thing to hang? Now she's stabbing me with the needle, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. Now tell stories for me for free.
Not for free, I'm cooking food later for you.
This is
Hang
true.
on a minute, that doesn't work.
Story time. You're on it. Tick, 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 Greg. Get the pot
Who's
ready,
distracting
Kristin.
who now?
We're going to burn the monk after this.
Yes.
Just chuck him under the.
For those of you who don't know that sometimes Greg dresses up as a monk in the village
I
because
hate to
he's...
tell you this,
British
but,
in the Viking- Norwegian
that
Viking
fire
village.
is not going to burn very many monks.
Okay, tell us
Oh,
some more.
you
She's
just
only
wait
just getting
and see.
started. Finish your story. Tell us more of your story now. I interrupted.
So, as I said, almost all the way back to the beginning, after the death of Ymir and most of the frost giants,
Mhm.
there is actually a war between the Aesir and Vanir gods. And this war takes place mainly because Odin wants to be king. He, at that point in time, is only a chieftain. So I say only a chieftain. He still was very powerful. But at the same time, the Vanir, who had their own chieftain, and depending on which version of the myths you want to go for, that's either Freyr or his father Njord, said, why should we have to bow down to someone else? This doesn't make sense. And so a war erupts between the two families. And this war goes on for eons without any rest. And the blood spilt during this could have filled the world again from when Ymir was killed. So it was a very, very bloody war. And eventually both sides grew too tired and too devastated by the warfare that they decide, no, we got to sort this out. We got to stop this war somehow. And Odin, being clever, crafty, however you want to call him, comes up with the idea of calling a truce and exchanging hostages to make sure that the war doesn't start up again. And the Vanir agree to this. And so Freyr, being quite a noble god, and I usually look at him as being the chieftain rather than Njord, he doesn't want to put any of his family members in danger, so he volunteers to be the hostage to the Aesir Gods. Very noble sacrifice, if you will. But even though he's trying to spare the rest of his family, both his twin sister and wife, Freya, so at this point she is both sister and wife to Freyr, she volunteers to go as well to keep her husband company. And their father decides that he's going to go because he doesn't want his children to go into the enemy camp alone. Odin, however, is much more sly about his choice. And rather than sending himself or any of his particularly important gods, he decides to send his uncle Mimir. Now, Mimir is actually quite a bad choice to send in many respects, but that's only because he's a wise god. He's not a warrior. In fact, he's so old that he would not be very good in warfare whatsoever. And so you can imagine him trying to get to the Vanir, walking very slowly with his stick, trying not to fall over, etc. And he also chooses to send another god with him as well. And this god, whose name always slips my memory, is nicknamed the Silent God. This was actually because he could never stop talking, and they wanted to give him a hint to
that's
shut
my
up
kind
every
of
now
guy.
and then. I think this is the one you pray to sometimes.
I do, actually. I sleep with him. Karl also can talk forever.
Oh, yeah, okay. And so they decide to, so Odin decides to send these two over. And he explains to Mimir and to the Silent God that this is being done on purpose, and whatever you do, don't let on to the Vanir what I've done here. And Odin, of course, knows full well that it's going to leak out. The only thing that he doesn't know is how long it's going to take before the Vanir find out the truth. And so when they arrive at the Vanir camp, everything seems okay for a time. And then the Silent God says something along the lines of, oh yeah, well, you know, Odin only sent us over here because we're the two most useless of the gods that he has under his control. Oops. And so that's how the Vanir discovered the truth. Vanir didn't really think this over very quickly because they got so angry that they immediately behead Mimir, who they saw as being the more worthless, even though in actuality he probably would have been a great help to them strategy-wise. And then they send the Silent God back to the Aesir with Mimir's head in a bucket. And Odin has to then try and stop the rest of his family from trying to get blood for blood and starting the war all over again. And Odin's solution to this is, at this point, he's already sacrificed himself, gained all the magic, runes, etc. And he's able to bring the head back to life, albeit it no longer has a body to do anything. And so he brings it back to life thinking, yep, this is going to sort all my problems. I can have a wise counselor that nobody else knows is giving me information. And at the same time, it can't go anywhere and try and threaten my power. Everything works out well. Okay. Unfortunately, by being dead and being brought back, Mimir actually gains the gift of prophecy and gives one of the worst prophecies ever, that of Ragnarok, which is to come. And therefore, Odin then decides, okay, I can't keep this head anywhere where people might find out about it. So he sends it to guard the Well of Knowledge. In other words, just to get rid of it as quickly as possible so that nobody knows what's going on. And this is how Frey and Freya and Njord become part of the Aesir household, shall we say. So that's my first story. My second story, which I will do very quickly, I'm sorry, because Karin wants me to tell 2 stories.
Yeah, he has 2 stories. Not only have we turned you into a monk and given you the pitter patter of little virgin feet.
I know that I'm sometimes calling myself Loki, but I don't follow all of his
Well,
traditions.
I have to interrupt and tell you what they got. My Aunt Bonnie's on there telling me that Disney is making a series called Loki.
I know it is.
I didn't know that. Have you seen
Don't
it?
you dare
Is it
tell me
out?
anything
watched the
about
first
it.
episode.
Because if you tell me, no, I don't want to know. I don't
didn't
want
know
to know.
that.
I want to see it. Please
This is
don't
what
tell
happens
me.
when you live in a Viking
No,
village.
no,
You
no,
don't
I'm
know
telling
things
you.
like Disney. You want to go on a date? Carl won't mind.
Hey, what?
We'll go see Loki.
It's
We'll escape the Viking village and go to
Every
Disney.
Wednesday. It's
On
a new
Disney
episode.
Plus.
Oh, it's a
it's
series.
a Disney Plus thing, but we can download
Because
it.
I'm a blind.
We can download it and watch it tonight.
High five.
I've got
Okay.
Disney Plus.
I have.
Okay.
I don't.
Oh,
And then,
I
by
have
the
other
way,
things.
if
cheat.
you look in the
Scoundrel.
description as well, you'll see at Textilhexa, spelt in Norwegian. She's actually selling that blue yarn, so if you want to save me $1, buy it before I do. And it's going to go in the shop.
Or
isn't
me.
it? Yeah. And
I
then,
want to learn tablet weaving.
yeah, I can show you.
Oh, it would
But
be
yeah,
a
it's
shame
going to
if
go
you had
in our
someone
web
that
shop too. It
wanted
just
to
needs to be
do
photographed and put
Yeah.
in. But you can also send an
it.
email or something and we'll get it
I
sorted
forgot to
faster
show
if you
her a
really want.
picture. I told her about it and I forgot to show her a picture. What am I?
The web shop is now
that?
mostly in English, so that's helpful, but we have to get more
That's
products in there.
helpful.
But it's my Shopify, I think Viking Valley. Anyway, okay, now you can tell your next story. I just
Okay.
wanted to get that in there before I
Yeah, yeah.
forgot, because she's actually selling that yarn.
So, the tale of how Earth wakes. Earth wakes? What the hell's Earth wakes?
That's right up there
Earthquakes.
with the virgins.
Yeah, something like that. Earthquakes. The way that the Vikings believed that these were caused was they believed that Loki, in agony and trying to get free of his bondage, would actually writhe, scream, and cause the entire world to shake whenever he tries to escape. And to understand why this is happening, we have to go back a little bit, because if we go a little bit further back, I think I mentioned last week a little bit about the death of Balder and how he was killed with the sprig of mistletoe. Well, this isn't the only thing that happened, because after Balder is killed, the gods all start to suspect that it was Loki. And their suspicions are pretty much confirmed at
It's getting
an
there.
event that we call, it's still not going to fit me,
Damn it.
at an event that we refer to as the flighting of Loki. And this is where Loki effectively does the Viking form of a roast for just roasting the other gods, basically.
Oh, my kind of game.
Yes. And this is not something that is uncommon. Flighting does happen fairly often. But you're meant to toe the line between being respectful and being a little bit insulting at the same time. Loki doesn't just step over this line. I think that he took a flying leap.
I was going to say flying something else.
No, I was
Okay,
making it
flying
a little
leap, fine.
bit.
Sorry, continue.
Took a flying leap that, if you want to put it in distance, would probably cover the entire way from Gudvangen to Voss. He really stepped over this line.
Oof.
And
40-minute
then
drive.
he realizes, I should mention, he was completely drunk out of his mind, so he didn't really know what he was doing at first. And as soon as he realized what he does, he flees like there's no tomorrow. And to try and flee, he actually dives into a river and turns himself into a salmon to escape the gods following him. These included Odin, Heimdall, and many others as well. Well, Heimdall quickly says, "Quick, give me some rope." And he makes the first fishing net. And he throws this into the river. She's tempting you with more wool. And
Back off,
he
you foul temptress.
throws this net into the water and manages to catch Loki, the salmon Loki. And he's dragged back to the rest of the gods, and they decide his fate. And they decide that the only punishment fit for him is to chain him up in a cave where he will never be allowed to leave. And to make this even worse, they actually use the entrails of his own son, who they killed when he ran away after the flighting. So they take the entrails of his son and bind him to this rock in a cave. This is a magical form of binding that is far more secure than almost anything else, with the exception of the bindings of Fenrir himself, the giant wolf of Norse mythology. And the gods leave, but one member of the godly family decides to stay behind. And this particular family member is Skadi. Again, I mentioned her last week. And she decides that just being chained up is not punishment enough. Primarily because, like I also mentioned, she fancied Balder, so that's one reason that she wants to torture him even more than he already is being tortured. But the other reason is she still sees that it's her right to get vengeance for the death of her father. So she takes an adder from the grass and she nails the end of this adder's tail to the wall above Loki. And so the adder cannot go anywhere.
You have to.
And as it's trying to escape, it's dripping venom everywhere. And these drips of venom are going directly into the eyes of Loki. And so his eyes are being burnt out slowly and nastily this entire time. And every time the drops land in his eyes, he screams and he writhes and creates earthquakes that go around the entire world. Luckily for Loki, even though he was a faithless man to his wife, she still loves him greatly. And so his wife holds a bowl under the head of the snake to catch all of the venom. And so when this happens, Loki is able to have some degree of rest. But she can only do this for so long. And every now and then she has to empty the bowl. And every time she goes to empty the bowl, the venom lands in Loki's eyes again, and we get earthquakes from this. So, hope you've enjoyed the stories.
All right, you can burn the monk now, Kristin.
No!
And the other thing is, now that we got Greg telling stories again, are you here on Friday?
Yes.
Yeah, you are, because we're going to actually be open next Friday. Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so then you're here.
No,
because
I'm not actually. Carl gave me that Friday off.
The bastard.
According
ignore
to the
that
schedule.
message, 'cause I make the real decisions around
according to the schedule that I saw earlier, I'm meant to be off on that Friday.
Oh, you should come anyway, because we're opening. It's the 18th we're opening. That's
Yeah.
Friday, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you got to come on opening day.
Yep.
And then Vikings will have to put cell phones away.
Yes.
So Kristin's got her head in the cloud.
I'm dying.
Quite literally. That's not COVID. That's dire
That's smoke.
Cool
cough.
smoke.
But we need a story for you to tell next week, and I probably have some questions for you too here. Questions or comments? Let's see. Bjornarda, that's Karl's brother-in-law, by the way.
Oh, okay.
He says, I think the silent god's name is Hernir. Sounds like chicken in
Yep.
Norwegian. Yeah, like
That sounds about
Hernir.
right, which is also why I probably have never tried to pronounce it, because I just see it written and think, I'm not even going to try.
Oh, yeah. He says, by the way, Peruta says she can teach you tablet weaving. She sucks at it, but at least we can suck together.
Yep, that sounds good.
There's an innuendo in there, by the way. May or may not involve a polar bear.
We know of the polar bear
We know
story.
of the polar bear story. Did I tell you that she's actually going to see if she can get a little patch of polar bear fur, or something resembling it anyway, and wear it from her belt? So everyone in this village will know about the polar bear. Oh, she totally defiled a polar bear skin. It proved as fun.
Can you tell me the story?
We'll have to tell you that one later. That's a whole episode. But Bjorn also says, tell about Loki's insults. They're quite enjoyable.
Okay, I need to research all of
Well,
the
you
different
do.
insults.
This you have to have for next
but
week,
that
so-
is something I will revise
Yeah.
for next week. I will tell all the different insults.
Hmm.
Can I have your brain, please?
And then we got
No.
we've got some suggestions for Karl as well. It would be epic if we talked about Karl talked about all the kings leading up to Hardrada Karl.
I know, that one is the one I was thinking
Oh
would be
my god, that would be awesome.
great
Do we have enough
research.
popcorn for that?
I don't know.
You got the blues. Yeah, we're gonna show those in a minute.
Blueberries.
And then also Yanni Eriksson says, can he tell us about the real Ragnar Lodbrok? I think we have to do that too, because so many people
That's
base the
fine.
Viking
I
series.
can. I know the real story in a very, very condensed form.
Yeah.
So I won't tell it now. I will read the story fully and then
Okay.
I'll tell it next week.
Perfect.
So now you've got the 2 stories for
Now
next
we
week.
got 2 stories for next week and a job for Karl as well with the Kings.
Yep. Here
Okay,
comes the rain.
so we got about 5 more minutes, so I'll show you what Kristin's doing while everything's getting rained on. Let's see. Just have to put down the needle binding and take things out of the rain.
You said here comes the rain.
Yeah, falling on my head like it's wet. Anyway, a new emotion.
This is heavy drops.
Okay, so Kristin,
It is.
I'm going to give you the microphone. Yeah.
No, there's.
Contradictory.
Do you want to tell them how to make the red?
Do you
Because
understand what I mean? And people on YouTube, do you understand what I mean by it's a real wet rain?
it's a real wet rain.
It's really contradictory because rain is
But it
wet.
makes sense, doesn't
The
it?
water is wet.
Exactly.
Did you see all those extra waterfalls we have back there? It's so cool. Okay, I just have to cover the computer a little bit here so it doesn't get...
So,
Yeah, now you need to hear the story about the polar bear. Okay, I'll tell that one. Or you could watch back in the... No, I'm not going to tell that today. I think that was sometime in the middle of the winter when we're in the office with a white background. You can see you can hear the story. It's on YouTube. Okay, how do you make red?
We're
getting
wet.
wet.
Have to prepare the fabric or the wool
Mhm.
with the alum salt.
Let's see kind of what she's doing there.
That's what I'm doing in that pot.
Yeah.
Which is on the fire. And at the same time, I put the madder into water and leave it there for until tomorrow, basically.
Hmm. Oh, Peruta can tell it too, yeah.
And tomorrow, because I want the bright reds,
Yep.
I'm gonna steam that one up to about 50 degrees. Not over, because then the brownish
Sorry.
tones is coming out. And I do want the bright red ones.
No, I want the bright red ones.
So that's what
Sorry.
we're gonna do tomorrow.
I'm shaking the...
In that pot is just water and wool,
Mhm.
just to make it wet, at least for 3 hours. So I do take this up to 50 degrees, leave it there for an hour, and then
Try to get closer to the pot.
and then when it's been there for an hour, I drain it because it's a lot of small bits and pieces.
Yeah, it almost looks
In
like
there?
blood, but it's not. It's like bark or... No, it's the root.
It's a root.
It's a root.
So then I do want to take the root out because it's only the dye that I want, not the roots.
Yeah.
So we don't have to stand there and smack the yarn for like 5 hours.
Dye.
So yeah, so we can dye proper
So you can
colors.
dye properly. So you're going to have this done by next Friday?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. So
Yay!
and
Shit, she's going to show me more crap to sell.
Yep.
Oh, and what does Karl say Vikings used as a thermometer?
always use that one.
Why? What do you use the other fingers for?
Ooh, you'll find out.
Yay.
And one owl is 90 degrees.
Just one owl is 90
Yeah.
degrees. I have to tell Karl that.
2 owls is 70 degrees. 3 owls is 50 degrees.
So Yenny writes, no stories next Friday. Burn the monk.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
no,
okay.
I agree. Burn him.
You know what, though? I do think you have to come in a monk outfit next week.
Fine, that I'll do. Just so long as nobody burns me.
We've got more people. Villagers everywhere. You have to come now. I have to scream now because the microphone's over there. But yay. Yeah, I gave you one because you're more important than me and I just have a loud voice. Let's face it.
Can I get that in written?
I'll write it in blood with this finger. No. What about an arg? Okay, you guys. They want an arg. All right. Do an arg. Oh, that was just crappy. Think of Adrian. For those who remember Adrian Spenlow, and say Odin. Then you got to come in too, Kristin, and say Odin before I get smoked out here.
Now, Odin, I don't mind saying.
Oh, Heidi Lisette says hi, Heidi. Yeah, look at all the people, says Arlene. They're coming back now. And there's more. Okay, so started like this was, I suppose you're all wondering why I've gathered you here today. Okay, do one big Odin, and then I'm hanging up on these people.
See,
Okay,
I've just
1,
said
2, 3.
Odin!
And from the choir. Odin. Okay, thanks for playing with us. We'll see you next Friday with stories and red yarn, I hope.
by then, because Karen and I both had microphones on while we yelled Odin.
Oh, I'm pretty sure there's a reason I didn't yell.
Headphones on.
Okay, bye-bye.
Headphones.
End stream. Yes.